So, who would you say was the very first marketer in the world? It's kind of a wild historical question to kick things off with, right? I mean, if we go way, way back, who actually started the whole practice of selling us on an idea or a product? Well, you could totally argue it was the snake in the Garden of Eden, sneaking in and, well, successfully selling Eve on the idea of eating that apple. So, yeah, selling goes way back. Or if we look at recorded history, maybe it was Aristotle. Actually, Aristotle formalized rhetoric, which is basically the art of observing all the available means of persuasion and motivating an audience. In a lot of ways, he laid the very first foundation for getting someone to do something they probably wouldn't have done otherwise. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving right in to demystify marketing. I'm really thrilled to guide you through this because, let's be honest, marketing is so often viewed as some sort of dark art, right? Like a manipulative trick or just flashy advertising. We're going to shatter that myth right now. Our goal today is to break it down as a highly structured, objective, and value-creating scientific framework. And to do that, we're going to specifically analyze the framework pioneered by experts like Philip Kotler, just to see exactly how this whole engine actually works. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's journey. 1. Origins of marketing science. 2. Kotler's 5-step process. 3. Executing the 4 Ps. 4. Criticisms versus reality. And 5. The future, Marketing 4.0. Section 1. Origins of the marketing science. From simple trades to a dedicated discipline. Now, trade has obviously existed throughout all of human history, but the actual discipline of marketing, it's barely a century old. If we trace the timeline, you can really see the momentum of commercial progress. We have the very first newspaper ad for coffee popping up in England way back in 1652. Then, fast forward to 1845, the first department store, Mitsui, opens its doors in Japan. But actually, it wasn't until the 1900s that the very first formal marketing books were officially published. And what's absolutely fascinating about these early milestones is who actually wrote those first books. It wasn't psychologists, and it definitely wasn't salespeople. It was economists, specifically disillusioned economists. See, up until then, classical economics taught that price was literally the only force shaping demand. You raise the price, demand falls. You lower it, demand rises. Simple, right? Well, these disillusioned economists realized the real world was way more complex. They figured out they had to factor in advertising, human desire, retail placement, and wholesale dynamics. So marketing was actually born as a highly specialized branch of economics. Section 2. Kotler's 5-step marketing process, the scientific framework for value creation. So, once marketing officially became a science, it obviously needed a scientific framework. And Philip Kotler, who is one of the absolute foremost experts in the world on this, outlined this brilliant progression. It takes a business from simply understanding a market all the way to generating sustainable profit. Let's break down these 5 steps sequentially, because this is really the core of everything we're looking at today. Step 1 is digging deep into research, understanding the market, the environment, and exactly what the customer struggles with or desires. Step 2 is designing a customer-driven strategy. This means you figure out exactly which specific segment of the market you can serve best. You're not just guessing here, you're actively applying data. Step 3 is constructing an integrated marketing program to actually deliver that value. Step 4 is managing those customer relationships to ensure high satisfaction. Now, here is the absolutely crucial point. Those first 4 steps, they are entirely about creating value for the consumer. It's only in step 5 that the company captures value back in the form of revenue, profit, and long-term loyalty. The science literally proves you cannot sustainably get to step 5 without obsessing over the first 4. And this is exactly why so many modern businesses fail. They try to skip straight to step 5, capturing profit, without ever designing a proper customer-driven strategy in step 2. Section 3. Executing the 4 Ps. How CEOs apply the science. Okay, moving from the abstract framework right into practical application. How do business leaders actually construct that integrated marketing program we just saw in step 3? Well, they use a very specific tool, the famous 4 Ps. To turn a high-level strategy into a tangible offering, a business absolutely must lock down its product. That's the actual value, the features, design, and packaging being offered to solve the customer's problem. Then, price. What is the optimal monetary value that perfectly balances profitability with customer perception? Next up is place. How does it get to the consumer? Is it online, in a local boutique, or maybe through a massive global distributor? And finally, promotion. How do you accurately and persuasively communicate this value to your specific target audience? These 4 levers are constantly manipulated and tested to perfectly fit the customer segment. Now, how effectively this is all deployed often depends entirely on the CEO's mentality. A 1P CEO, for instance, only cares about promotion. They basically view marketing just as a giant megaphone to broadcast a message. A 4P CEO is definitely more advanced. They want a structured plan covering product, price, place, and promotion for different segments. But the most advanced? That's the customer-centric CEO. Take A.G. Lofley, the former CEO of Procter & Gamble. When he was asked about his marketing department, his mentality was simply, marketing is everything. To him, if you don't start with the customer, you simply do not have a business. Section 4. The criticisms of marketing. Balancing the narrative. To truly understand the science, we have to look objectively at the friction it causes. It's really no secret that marketing carries a pretty controversial reputation in some circles. Thinkers like Vance Packard warned of hidden persuaders, which is the idea that marketers manipulate us subliminally. And modern philosophers like Michael Sandel point out what he calls the skyboxification of the United States. He argues that aggressive marketing and tiered pricing actually divide social classes. So instead of everyone standing in the exact same line for a hot dog at a baseball game, the wealthy are sequestered in luxury skyboxes, meaning different classes no longer interact in shared cultural spaces. Let's look at the two sides completely neutrally, exactly as presented in our sources. The critics highlight the dark side, arguing that marketing can promote a materialistic mindset, encourage overconsumption that depletes planetary resources and generates pollution, and push people to buy wants over actual needs, sometimes even ignoring product safety. But on the flip side, the bright side highlights some massive economic benefits. Marketing is a primary engine for job creation. It dramatically accelerates the adoption of life-improving technologies. It fundamentally defines and raises the middle-class standard of living, and it is heavily relied upon to fund museums, the performing arts, and nonprofits all over the world. But what happens when a company perfectly balances profit with deep social responsibility? Well, you get what the sources call a firm of endearment. When researchers ask people to name companies they would dearly miss if they just vanished tomorrow, brands like Apple, Amazon, or Costco, an absolutely amazing statistic emerges. Compared to your average company, how much more profitable do you think these beloved, highly responsible brands are? The answer is staggering. They are literally 9 to 10 times more profitable. And the secret behind that massive profitability might actually surprise you. You might assume these beloved brands spend an absolute fortune bombarding us with ads, but the data shows firms of endearment actually spend less on advertising. Why is that? Because they focus heavily on Kotler's first 4 steps. They focus on creating unmatched value, which means their loyal customers naturally do all the advertising for them through word of mouth. Section 5. The Future, Marketing 4.0, the final frontier of the marketing evolution. So where is this all heading next? The digital age has permanently altered how value is delivered, and marketing science is evolving rapidly just to keep up. We can actually track this evolution chronologically. Marketing 1.0 was really just about making a better product and appealing to the consumer's logical mind. Then Marketing 2.0 shifted to appealing to the heart, helping people realize their deepest aspirations and desired lifestyles. Next, Marketing 3.0 moved to appealing to the spirit. This is companies acting with compassion, trying to genuinely improve the state of the world and be socially responsible. But the absolute cutting edge today is Marketing 4.0, which is all about building inescapable ecosystems. See, Marketing 4.0 isn't just about selling a standalone product anymore. It's about building inescapable, lifestyle-encompassing platforms and ecosystems. Think about Apple for a second. You don't just buy a phone, right? You buy into an entire ecosystem of devices and services that all seamlessly integrate with each other. Or think of Harley-Davidson. You aren't just buying a motorcycle. You are joining a vast community, a full-on subculture, an entire lifestyle group. Companies are shifting away from being product-centered to becoming system-centered. They're creating platforms that supply basically everything an individual within that ecosystem could possibly want or need. Which brings us to the end of our explainer. I want to leave you with this provocative thought to really reflect on today. Look around at your own daily habits, your devices, your deepest brand loyalties. What marketing systems and ecosystems are you currently bought into? Because I promise you, once you start noticing the science of value creation operating in your own life, you will never look at a purchase the exact same way again.